Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're kicking off the month of September 2020 with a way to give you some pep, a way to get you going in the morning. You probably just started your new semester at school, or maybe you have just started a new job and you'd like to have a little extra energy. Well, as you know, one way to have that energy is to drink some coffee first thing in the morning.
Yeah, it's kind of the routine for a lot of people around the world. Not so much the British. I think they still prefer their tea. But a lot of people, at least where we're from, which is America, wake up and they don't even want to talk to anybody in the house until they've had their cup of coffee. I'm one of the weird ones. I don't drink coffee. I didn't want to get addicted to the caffeine because then you have to have it and then you're stuck. But a lot of people love it. I do like the smell. I think the taste is a little bitter to me. But nowadays, they have so many kind of cool different kinds of coffees that look really good, actually, where you add some cream or milk or sugar. Some of them need special machines if you want to make it at home. But we're going to talk about 6 ways to grab a coffee. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, isn't coffee non-count? It is, but nowadays, because we have these single servings of coffee, you'll often hear them say, let's grab a coffee and then go. But when I was growing up, we pretty much stuck to let's grab a cup of coffee and go. But nowadays, I'm finding not just in English, but in Chinese too, things are getting a little bit more relaxed and people are using incorrect grammar quite frequently, and so much so that it starts to become standard. So this is now standard.
Indeed, a cup of coffee just becomes a coffee, but technically coffee is supposed to be non-count.
Sure.
But we do have exceptions nowadays, as you well know. We just said some coffee. Would you like to have some coffee?
Yeah.
Let's have a cup of coffee or something like that.
Would you like to get some coffee together? Yeah.
Indeed. But of course, as you know, there are lots of different ways to enjoy your coffee, so that's why we're going to be talking about 6 ways to grab a coffee. There are probably more ways, but we'll just focus on 6 today. So let's get to it. Let's read the entire contents of our article, and we'll be right back. Have you ever entertained the notion of being a barista, but can't distinguish a cappuccino from a latte? Never fear. We're here to explain the art of coffee, so read on to learn the differences. The simplest, smallest, and strongest of coffee drinks is a shot of espresso. This is made by forcing piping hot water through ground coffee beans. Espresso is the foundation for all other coffee-based brews, with more shots making them more robust. Coming in slightly milder is the Americano. It's made by mixing 1 to 4 shots of espresso with hot water. A widespread rumor says it was named for American soldiers who made the drink while stationed in Italy during World War II. For something creamy and smooth, a latte is a good choice. This is made with espresso and steamed milk and topped with a layer of fine foam. Many people add shots of flavor like vanilla, hazelnut, or caramel, as this makes it sweet and easy to drink. Another similar drink is the cappuccino, which contains less milk and is sometimes topped with cinnamon powder. The cappuccino has a stronger scent. In Italy, it's typically consumed at breakfast. To fulfill a sweet craving, try the ever-popular mocha, a latte with chocolate added. The drink's name comes from the city of Mocha in Yemen, a central point in the early coffee trade. You might also go for an Affigato, meaning drowned in Italian. This treat is composed of vanilla gelato drowned in a shot of hot espresso. It's a delightful dessert that true coffee lovers shouldn't miss. Now that you have a little more coffee knowledge, you can brew a cup of joe with confidence.
Okay, guys, let's dive in and find out what those 6 ways to grab a coffee are, according to our author here. So, have you ever entertained the notion of being a barista but can't distinguish a cappuccino from a latte? That would be me. I really can't tell the difference. So, yeah, if you have a notion of something, it's just an idea. For those of you out there, though, that are good at sewing, if you have a sewing machine at home and you spend your free time sewing, notion is used differently for people who sew. It just means the little things that you use to sew a piece of clothing, like the buttons and the pins and the hooks. Those are called notions for those of you out there with an S on the end, notions. But a notion is an idea, something that you might be thinking about. It might be just an idea that comes to mind. It might be a belief about something. Children have a notion that Santa Claus lives in the North Pole, which we encourage them to believe until they get too old to believe it. So a notion here, if you've ever entertained or, considered the possibility of becoming a barista, but you can't really tell the difference between different types of coffees, we're here to explain the difference. A barista, by the way, is an Italian word that just means barman or barman, somebody who puts together cups of coffee. I was telling Tom before we started, I'd never seen this word barista in America until Starbucks came into being. And then those people who would make those really kind of technical types of drinks at Starbucks were not waiters or waitresses or just someone taking your order. They were baristas, and you were encouraged to tip them.
Yeah, in the USA, so I suppose you do have to tip the coffee makers, the baristas there. So you may have entertained the notion, or you may have thought about being a barista, but maybe you just don't know the difference between a cappuccino and a latte. So here we've got this pattern here to distinguish something from something else, which is the same thing as saying to tell the difference between A and B. So yeah, you can't distinguish a cappuccino from a latte. Or you have twin daughters, but I can't distinguish one twin from the other. I don't know the difference between them. They look exactly alike to me.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard with identical twins to tell the difference between them. Now, here we're saying you can't tell the difference or distinguish a cappuccino from a latte, distinguish something from something else. Never fear. This was a phrase we grew up with, never fear. Mighty Mouse is here. It was a cartoon, and I guess this superhero would save you. So never fear. So we're continuing to use it here. Never fear. Don't be afraid. We're here to help. And from this article, you're going to be able to learn the differences between different types of coffees. Here we go. Now, the simplest, smallest, and strongest, I want to emphasize that one, of coffee drinks is a shot of espresso. Espresso is very, 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 very strong. I know it has a lot of caffeine in it too, because one of my old bosses just was kind of addicted to espresso. He would not eat all day. He's not Taiwanese, guys. He's a foreigner. But he would drink 6 to 7 cups of espresso a day, which seems a little dangerous to me, to be honest. To keep his spirits up, he was working hard, and then he'd eat late at 8:30, one meal a day. But yeah, espressos, which I have to mention here, a lot of Americans at least mispronounce this word. They say espresso, like there's an X in it, like express, meaning fast. No, this is an Italian word originally, and so it's a difference. It's espresso. So if you hear some Americans say espresso, you can tell them that they don't have the right pronunciation.
Right, and of course, espresso is made by pushing steam through ground coffee beans, and you need a special kind of machine for that. But that's the base drink of all other coffee drinks, at least in this particular type of coffee drinking. And yes, you're going to force that piping hot water, which means it's very, very hot. Actually, it becomes steam at that point, and they go through the ground coffee beans. And espresso is the foundation for all other coffee-based brews, as we've said. Brew here can be both a verb and a noun. To brew means to make beer, but we also use it to make coffee. I think you can also use it to refer to making tea. I'm going to brew some tea. And brew can also be a noun here. So yes, coffee-based drinks or coffee-based brews. And, of course, if you put more shots of espresso in those drinks, they will become more robust, which means kind of stronger. They have more body to them. They're richer in flavor.
Yeah, robust. You can have a robust person, plant, or thing. If a plant is robust, it's growing very well. If a person's robust, they're not fragile. I think that would be a good opposite word for that. Kind of strong, you know? So coming in slightly milder is the Americano. Slightly means just a little bit. And milder is one of the adjectives for the word mild. If it's mild, it's kind of weak, not very strong. I would say mild, milder. Mildest is the superlative of this adjective. So mild, it's kind of gentle. You can describe a person's personality as being mild or an animal. This horse is very mild, don't worry. Or the dog is very mild, he won't bite you. They can be very hard to provoke, you know, kind of easygoing. But this particular cup of coffee is called the Americano, and it's slightly milder. So the strongest form you can get there, guys, remember, of the 6 cups is this espresso.
Yeah, I think I had an Americano once and I thought, ooh, that's weird.
Oh, really?
Mixing water with espresso? That's like adding water to oolong tea or something like that.
Yeah.
Or having your whiskey with water or something. That's just weird. Why would you want to do that?
I would say it kind of dilutes the original taste of the espresso. To dilute just means, you know, you do add some sort of liquid to make the whatever flavor it is to be less strong. It's kind of not as exciting.
Yeah, there's no accounting for taste. You know, people like it the way they like it, but that's the Americano. And again, you mix 1 to 4 shots of espresso with hot water. And a widespread rumor says it was named for American soldiers who made the drink while stationed in Italy during World War II. So yeah, you've got these Americans over in Italy fighting the Germans or fighting the Italians, and they were thirsty, so they tried the local coffee and they thought, ooh, this stuff is a little bit too strong for us soft Americans, so let's just add some water to this, and hence the Americano was born. There you go. You never knew that before, did you? Okay, that brings us to the midway point in our lesson. Let's take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
大家好，我是 Olive， 现在要进行第1单元的中文讲解。不知道大家走进咖啡店时，看见各种咖啡的名称，会不会觉得很困惑？或是怕点到完全不合自己口味的咖啡？不用担心，看完这篇文章，你就会分辨6种咖啡之间的差异。也许你还能找到适合你的咖啡。文章以询问读者是否有想过成为一名咖啡师为开头，带出接下来将会介绍咖啡的艺术。第1句 entertain 的意思并非我们常见的娱乐，而是怀抱、存有的意思。文章第2段介绍了2种咖啡，浓缩咖啡和美式咖啡。浓缩咖啡是最简单、最小也最浓郁的咖啡，是透过加压滚烫的水流通过磨碎的咖啡豆做成的。首先我们来看到第1题，这一题说明越多份的浓缩咖啡会让其他咖啡调制饮品越醇厚，而且这篇文章介绍的各种咖啡都有浓缩咖啡的成分，再透过添加其他食材进行变化。例如第2段介绍的美式咖啡就是将浓缩咖啡与热水混合而成的，还有第3段介绍的拿铁是由浓缩咖啡和热牛奶制成。我们可以知道浓缩咖啡是所有其他咖啡调制饮品的基底，所以答案就选 D Foundation。 接下来我们看到第2题，空格这句说明比浓缩咖啡稍微不浓烈的是美式咖啡。这一题是在测验主词补语置于句首的倒装句这个文法。 Coming in slightly milder 是主词补语，而真正的主词是 The Americano。 这一句原来是The Americano is coming in slightly milder， 所以答案就选 A is。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We're going to continue talking about 6 ways to grab a coffee. So let's see, if we counted these as 2 here, the espresso,
we have 2.
The espresso itself, and the Americano. So moving on now to the next paragraph, it says, for something creamy and smooth, a latte is a good choice. So if you don't like the Americano, and if you think the espresso is too strong for you, maybe you want something smoother, something that's not so robust, not so strong, and it's also going to be creamier, like with milk or cream or something, then you might pick a latte.
Yeah, this would be the one I would pick probably. Latte. So how is this one put together? Remember, you probably look at this word and go, why are they saying latte? It looks like lat in English. Again, it's an Italian word, so we're pronouncing it the way they would, latte. So it's made with espresso and steamed milk, not just that water. And then it's topped with a layer of fine foam. You definitely need a fancy machine to make a latte as well. So there's that layer of foam at the top. A foam is just, bubbles that have been mixed really quickly. And a layer is just a small, thin part of it would be that foam on top. It sounds good. Now, many people add shots or a little bit of something, a shot of flavor like vanilla, hazelnut, or I think, Tom, you say caramel. Caramel?
Yeah, there are different ways to pronounce that word.
Yeah, I say caramel. Yeah. So it's caramel or caramel, up to you. So they put different flavors with their latte. Once it's been made, they add some kind of fun flavors. I love vanilla, which is 香草, but hazelnut I don't know. I love that flavor too.
I think it's 榛果 in Chinese, hazelnut.
And then caramel is my absolute favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, that one I don't know the Chinese for, but caramel or caramel.
I think it's something like sugar milk or something.
Yeah, with butter or something like that. I think it was
it.
Invented in the United States a couple of 100 years ago. But yes, people will add a shot of those things for extra flavor. And so those are some examples. And this will make it sweet and easy to drink.
Yeah, I don't know if you mentioned, shot here is kind of a weird word if you're just hearing it in this circumstance here. It's just a little bit of a flavor. You'll typically hear it on TV shows or movies where people will be drinking alcohol and they'll want a shot of whiskey, just a little bit of it. So it just means a little bit of something that they add. So yeah, they put those into their latte, and this makes it a sweet and easy drink to order. Now, you have to remember that these are not low-calorie drinks. The latte would seem to be pretty high-calorie. So maybe this is a drink you order on a special occasion. I don't know.
Could be. I tend to drink coffee without sugar in it, but that does not mean it's not fattening.
Do you put the milk and cream in?
Yeah, I like my coffee with milk, but again, I'm not into these fancy espresso drinks. I just use a French press, usually, or one of those paper filters, and just grind the beans and then pour hot water through it and add milk to it. That's perfectly fine for me. But these are some other ways people enjoy their coffee with these shots of flavor added, vanilla, hazelnut, or caramel, and those things make it sweet and easy to drink. And another similar drink is the cappuccino, which contains less milk and is sometimes topped with cinnamon powder. I like the way you order cappuccinos here in Taiwan. What is it? Kabu. Well, da kabu. And that's all you need to say. But in English or Italian, you got to say cappuccino, which is a little bit longer to say. But in any case, it will contain less milk than a latte, and it is often topped with cinnamon powder. Cinnamon is that kind of brown powder, rogue, I think it's called in Chinese, or rogue. I never get the tone right on the gui there, but in any case, cinnamon powder is put on top sometimes, and the cappuccino has a stronger scent. The scent is the smell that comes from food.
Yeah, and remember, scent is usually a positive word, guys. So if something smells terrible, don't use scent. Use odor or smell. Ooh, what's that smell? Ugh. But a scent is usually something that's quite pleasant, has to do with maybe a flower, perfume, food. In Italy, it's typically consumed at breakfast. So if you go over there, that's probably the drink that you would see people having in the morning with their breakfast is that cappuccino. We say cappuccino, they say cappuccino. So, yeah, that sounds really good. I guess cinnamon?If you don't like cinnamon, you probably don't want to order a cappuccino. To fulfill a sweet craving, try the ever-popular mocha. It's a latte with chocolate added. Oh, this one sounds really fattening. Okay, to fulfill here is one of our vocab words, guys. It just means you complete something or you achieve something, you realize something. To fulfill your wildest dreams, you might be able to travel around the world someday.To fulfill a boss's request, you might have to finish a project for them. So to fulfill. Here you have a sweet craving. A craving is that desire inside that you have to do something or eat something. I had one last night. I'm trying not to eat so many carbs, and I wanted pizza, which I never want pizza, but I think I wanted the carbs. So a sweet craving would be a big desire to have maybe some ice cream or a cookie or something sweet that maybe is fattening.
Actually, I have a craving for celery right now.
No.
Well, I wish I did. Most of us wish we craved
no
fruits or at least vegetables with no calories. But unfortunately, that's not the case. But sometimes you will crave something sweet. So to fulfill this craving, to fulfill this desire, you might have a mocha, which is a latte with chocolate added. And it's going to be sweet chocolate. It's not going to be raw, dark chocolate. It's going to be sweet.
Oh, it's more like milk chocolate?
I imagine so. And the drink's name comes from the city of Mocha in Yemen, which I did not know.
Wasn't that interesting? Yeah, it was interesting to find this out. I've never heard of this.
Yep, Yemen, of course, is a country in the Middle East, and that is a central point, or at least it was a central point, in the early coffee trade. And you might also go for an Affigato, I hope I said that right, which means drowned in Italian. Drowned means you're in water and you can't breathe and you die, usually, but sometimes it also means that you just have a lot of stuff in a certain kind of beverage. It's drowned in sugar, for example. It's got too much sugar in it.
Yeah, maybe you make a cake and you put icing on top, but there's a lot of icing. You could say, yeah, it's drowning in icing right now. This treat is composed of vanilla gelato. Gelato is a type of ice cream, but there's no milk in it. It's actually quite delicious. Gelato, if you have a chance to get some gelato. So vanilla gelato drowned in a shot of hot espresso. So they put those two things together, and it's a delightful dessert that true coffee lovers shouldn't miss. It sounds pretty wonderful. Affogato, you need to try that if you ever end up in Italy. And I'm sure there's some places here that offer it. You might check that out. If something's delightful, guys, this is our last vocab word here. It just means it's wonderful. It's just it makes you happy. A food can be delightful. A person can be delightful. Maybe you meet someone new and they have a great personality. Oh, what a delightful person. I loved him or I loved her. So this is a delightful dessert. So now that you have a little more coffee knowledge, you can brew or you can make a cup of joe with confidence. What's a cup of joe, Tom?
Joe, that's a slang term for coffee, and I have looked that up before, and the dictionary does not seem to know where this came from.
It's been around a while.
We just say that, joe, a cup of joe, that's just a slang term for coffee. Sometimes you also say a cup of java as well, because I think coffee does come from Indonesia as well. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher who just finished an espresso.
文章第3段介绍拿铁和卡布奇诺这2种咖啡。拿铁是由浓缩咖啡和热牛奶组成，最上面会加上一层细致的奶泡。拿铁的主角是牛奶，而卡布奇诺与拿铁很像，不过它里面含有的牛奶比较少，所以它的主角是咖啡，而且通常会在奶泡上面撒上肉桂粉。所以如果你不喜欢肉桂的味道，也许拿铁比较适合你。接着我们来看到第3题，空格这一句提供拿铁作为美式咖啡以外的另一个选择。可推知，如果不喜欢浓烈苦涩的美式咖啡，而想要滑顺且香醇的东西，可以选择拿铁。所以答案就选 C, for。我们来看到这一段倒数第2句里的单字 scent。scent 这个字通常是指香味，不过也可以表示动物散发的气味。我们来看一个例句。 Pauline held her nose close to the flowers to breathe in their scent. 宝琳将她的鼻子贴近花朵，来闻它们的香气。还有一些名词能够表示气味，不过它们的用法各自有点不太相同。像是我们最常听到的 smell, S-M-E-L-L, 泛指味道，包含香味和臭味。I usually try to buy soaps that have no smell. 我通常会试着买没有味道的肥皂。A fragrance, F-R-A-G-R-A-N-C-E, 泛指香味、香气。Sometimes cleaning products have lemon or pine fragrance added to them. 有时候清洁产品会在其中添加柠檬或松树的香味。Aroma, A-R-O-M-A, 也是指香味，不过多指食物、饮料或植物的香气。As the cookies baked in the oven, their aroma filled the kitchen. 当饼干在烤箱中烘烤时，它们的香气弥漫在厨房中。而相反的，想要表达臭味，就可以用 odor, O-D-O-R, 指特定的气味，常指难闻的气味或臭味。My damp gym clothes had a bad odor after I left them in my bag. 我将汗湿的运动服忘在我的包包里后，闻起来很臭。Whiff, W-H-I-F-F, 是指一阵微弱的气味，或是一股味道，无论香或臭。I always get a whiff of Felice's perfume when she walks by my desk. 当菲利斯经过我的办公桌旁，我总是会闻到一股微弱的香气。文章第4段介绍摩卡咖啡和阿芙加朵。摩卡咖啡跟拿铁很像，就是拿铁的成分再加上巧克力，成为巧克力风味的咖啡。接着来看到第4题，我们可以从空格前面的 with 加名词来知道这一题是在测验 with 加受词加受词补语的句型。补充说明 with 前面的名词拿铁，摩卡就是加了巧克力的拿铁，而巧克力是被加入的，动词 add 应该要是被动的语态，所以答案就选 B, added。 阿芙加朵是这篇文章介绍的最后一种咖啡。比起咖啡，阿芙加朵其实更像是甜点，它是意大利文的音译，意思是淹没。接下来看到第5题，空格这一句的后面说到淹没于一杯热浓缩咖啡中的香草意式冰淇淋，所以我们就可以由此推知这是阿芙加朵所含的内容。答案就选 C, is composed of, 表示阿芙加朵是由香草意式冰淇淋和浓缩咖啡组成。看完这篇文章，是不是让你掌握了更多咖啡的知识？下次就可以充满自信地跟咖啡师说你要点的咖啡了。今天的讲解就到这边，谢谢收听。
That is it for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another edition of our program. You can drink some coffee along with our program. It might give you some extra pep. Who knows?
Yeah.
From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
See ya.